Hi guys, it's Mrs. Anderson. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. This is the lecture that I promised you all, and it's all about diagramming. This is super simple because we're only diagramming the subject and the verb. So the first thing we need to remember is, what is a subject? A subject is a person, place, thing, or idea. It is the thing doing the action or the thing that is being described. So in our example, Lee ate the pie. In that particular sentence, Lee is the subject. The next thing we need to know is, what is a verb? And as we discussed in class, a verb is a word that does an action, shows a state of being, links a word to the subject, or helps another verb rather. And in this particular sentence, Lee ate the pie. Ate is our verb. Now, the deal with verbs is that they have the four parts, and all of those are considered when we are diagramming them. So that means that the helping verb and the linking verb are also diagrammed with the verb, and that is considered a verb phrase. So the verb phrase is the helping verb plus the main verb. But oftentimes what makes it tricky is that verb phrases can be interrupted by other words. Most commonly, verb phrases are interrupted by the word not, as well as adverbs. Adverbs are common interrupters. And so in those instances, what we'll do is we will just ignore those particular interrupters while we're diagramming just the verbs. So you will still look for the helping verb and you will look for the main verb, but we won't worry about what falls in between them at this point. That's for a later assignment. So, as I discussed in class, the basic format for diagramming a subject and the verb is one line straight across, and then a second line that comes through the middle. Our verb is on the right-hand side, and our subject is going to be on the left-hand side. And this is easily remembered by remembering your alphabet. S comes before V. And they're always done this way. This is the way that it is set up every single time. It is not interchangeable. You cannot reverse it. It must be set up like this. This is the standard way to set it up. So in our sentence, Lee ate the pie. Lee is our subject. So we would write Lee right over here. And ate is our verb. And so this is what it would look like. Now, at the beginning, when you begin to diagram, we generally always find our verb first. We will look at our sentence and we will ask ourselves, what is the action in this particular sentence? Because those things are generally simple to find. Once you find your verb, you then ask the question, who or what is doing the action? So in our sentence, our verb was ate, and then we would say, who or what ate? And the answer to that question is Lee. Lee ate, and that's how we find our subject and our verb. And you use that same process in any sentence. A couple of other things that we need to discuss is you have what's considered it's called a compound subject. And what a compound subject is where you have two or more subjects in a sentence. So Billy and Sally ate the pie. So now we have two people eating the pie. And in that particular sentence, that would be diagrammed a little bit differently because now we have two subjects. So let me show you that. And this is kind of the important part. So now we have two subjects, so we would have two lines. So we still have our basic format, but what we do is we have subject 1 and subject 2. I think I named them Lee and Sally, so I'll go ahead and write their names in here. We have Lee and we have Sally, and they are eating the pie. So our verb is still eating. And this is what our diagram would look like for a compound subject. We also have what is called a compound verb. Compound verb is pretty much reversed from that in the sense that we have one subject and now we have two verbs. So let's say that Lee is eating pie, but Lee is eating pie and dancing. So now we have two verbs. So he is eating and he is dancing. Lee is very talented. So Lee is our subject, eating, dancing. Those are our verbs. And this is how you would diagram a compound verb. There's one part that I need to make sure that you see that I kind of left off of there before. Is what's called a connector. Generally, when you have a compound verb or a compound subject, you have a word that's in between there. And those words can be and, or, but. Those are common connectors. And we actually diagram those connectors. So going back to our example about the subject, we have the two lines. They make our little house. We have this little dotted line in here. And so we'll have subject 1, subject 2, but we'll also have what right in here where we put in our connecting word. Our connecting word is and. So we will write on the dotted line and. Subject 1, subject 2, and. The same thing is true if we had a compound verb. So we have our subject. That line's too long. Let me try it again. We have our subject, and then we have our compound verb, our little dotted line here. So this would be verb 1, this would be verb 2, and then we have our connector. This is our connector. So you can see those connectors have to be diagrammed in there when you have a compound subject or a compound verb. So I just want to make sure I'm really clear on that. So a few examples here. Joseph and Mary traveled to Bethlehem. In that sentence, traveled is our verb. And then we ask ourselves who or what traveled. And the answer is Joseph and Mary. So when we get ready to diagram this sentence, we will draw our little line. We know that we have two subjects rather. So we draw our sideways little house. We'll put our little connector dots. We'll come on out and finish it. And so our basic diagram will look like this, and then we begin to fill it in. So we have traveled as our verb. And then Joseph and Mary. Writing our connector in the right spot, and it would look like this. This is our completed diagram. Now another sentence, then I saw and considered. So here we have those mental verbs that I spoke of earlier. So then I saw and considered would mean that we have a compound verb. So we have one subject, our subject is I. We have a compound verb, We have saw and considered. And then we have our connecting word, and. And this is how, I'll put little lines on this so you can tell that that's I. And this is how it would look diagrammed. So again, super simple, super easy, very basic at this point. The basic format for diagramming.